the figure and the geometry, the next step is that basically render that and uh, have some representational quality to our drawing. So first thing after I draw my geometry is that adding some lighting components to my drawing. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to the visual tab, and under the light you see that I have a multiple option in order to create a different like a line type. Basically the point light, there is no direction on the point light, you place it somewhere and that's going to be your light. The spotlight, the directional light, you basically have a source of the light and a direction. What we're going to do use is that we're going to use the spotlight, which have more control over where we want to place the lighting source and which direction that lighting source is going to be heading to our object. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to draw a line from that corner, starting from this corner, and at this line make sure that your polar tracking is on, and let's go for example distance of 200, and this for 200 again, and this time I'm gonna go a little in a Z direction, so I'm gonna go with the, let's say 400 from this direction. Okay, after I set up my guidelines, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to orbit this so I have a better look of my drawing, and I'm going to use the spotlight. So this is going to be my spotlight, and it asks me if they want to turn off the default lighting, which is basically what we're going to do, because if we want to add the lighting source to our drawings, we want to use that as a lighting. But if you leave the default lighting on, that's going to kind of messing up with our lighting adjustment. So we're going to turn that off, and we're going to place the light source on top here, and we're going to zoom in, and we're going to place the direction all the way down here. So as you can see, I have multiple options. I can name the lighting source. I can define the intensity of the intensity factor for that lighting. Right now, if I click on it, it's 1. We're going to keep it as 1. We're going to get back to where it was before. We can change the status. We can change the fall off. If you want to change it to shadow, basically for the shadow, we have a different option. If you want to have like a soft map, or we want a sharp, we're going to leave it as a sharp. We can change the lighting source to the fall off, but we have a multiple option. We're going to leave most of these things as a default, and I'm going to press enter. So right now we place the lightings all the way up here, and as you can see the direction will be somewhere there. If I go outside this box and then select that lighting source, you see that it shows that with the direction located where is the lighting source, and if I press Ctrl 1 and bring the properties on, you see that I have all those options that I can change basically here: the position, the target position, the intensity of that, the color, so I can have changing all those things depending on the status of my project. So now that I don't need these lines, basically what I'm going to do is that I'm going to erase those lines. So that's going to be basically the placement of the lights. The next thing that we want to do is basically adding the shadow. Right now there is no shadow in my drawing, so if I go here into the visual tab and then visual style and change this one to conceptual, you see that there is no shadow basically. Everything is all bright. Some face is like some side are brighter than the other because they are basically facing the light source. But if I go here and turn on the full shadow or ground shadow, I'm going to use the full shadow. Basically the ground shadow is only shadow of the object on the ground, but this one we're going to use a full because we want to see for example, we have a geometry right here that we're going to see the shadow on this geometry on this like a cylinder. So I'm going to turn on the full shadow, and if I orbit that, you see that as I turn that on, you see that the shadow part of the main object on the other